Welcome to Humanities Studies. In this lecture, we will continue with some more models of communicatons. Also, we will discuss modernism and postmodernism. Frank Dunce's helical model of communication. In 1967, Frank Dunce introduced a communication model known as Dunce's helix model, which aimed to enhance the communication process. The term, helical, is derived from the word helix, which refers to a three-dimensional object resembling a wire uniformly wound around a cylinder or cone. This model presents communication as a dynamic and nonlinear process. The primary focus of Dunce's model is to highlight the complexities involved in communication. Drawing inspiration from a helix's structure, Dunce illustrates the communication process. He compares it to the helix, which starts small at the bottom and gradually expands in a circular motion, forming a larger circle at the top, continuously growing further. This process requires time to unfold. Similarly, communication begins slowly, confined within a small circle where communicators share limited information with their immediate relationships. Over time, this circle expands, allowing communicators to commit more and share a greater part of themselves. Dunce's model incorporates the concept of time, suggesting that the accumulated life experiences of individuals shape their understanding of the present issue, based on similar past events or incidents. Experimental research has been conducted to explore and validate this communication theory. However, despite the model's ability to provide clarity, there is a risk of oversimplifying the communication process. According to this theory, communication is influenced by what we have learned and accumulated over time. The Technology Acceptance Model, TAM, was developed by Fred D. Davis in 1989 and is a widely used theoretical framework for predicting individual adoption and use of new technologies, particularly in work contexts. TAM proposes that an individual's intention to use a new technology is determined by two key factors: perceived usefulness, PU, and perceived ease of use, PEU. Perceived usefulness refers to the extent to which an individual believes that using a particular technology will enhance their work performance or help them accomplish tasks more efficiently. For example, if someone perceives that a system can assist them in completing their work more quickly or accurately, they are more likely to view it as useful. On the other hand, perceived ease of use relates to the level of effort required, both mentally and physically, to use the technology effectively. If a system is perceived as easy to learn, understand, and operate, individuals are more inclined to consider adopting it. The original TAM has been expanded with additional versions, such as TAM 2 and TAM 3, in response to criticism and the need for more comprehensive models. TAM 2, developed by Venkatesh and Davis in 2000, takes into account external social factors that influence an individual's behavioral intention to use new technology. It considers factors such as social influence, age, and gender, recognizing the impact of external factors on technology adoption. One advantage of TAM is its simplicity and high predictiveness. The original TAM, TAM 1, has demonstrated strong predictive capabilities in various contexts, despite its limited number of factors. It provides a straightforward framework that is easy to understand and apply. TAM 2 builds upon TAM 1 by incorporating external social influences into the model. While this extension adds complexity, it offers a more comprehensive understanding of the factors influencing technology adoption. However, there is a need for further research to explore the applicability of all factors across different technological domains. Criticism of TAM revolves around its applicability and limitations. The original TAM was primarily developed for the adoption of information technology in the workplace, potentially neglecting the diverse needs and motivations present in voluntary consumer contexts. One major point of critique is the absence of subjective norms or consideration of social impact within the original TAM framework. Additionally, TAM's central constructs, perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use, do not provide explicit guidance on how to make technology more useful or easier to use. They focus on individuals' perceptions rather than addressing the design and implementation aspects that can enhance technology acceptance and usage. TAM 2 and TAM 3 incorporate a multitude of factors, making the models more complex. This complexity can pose challenges when applying them to specific contexts and requires careful consideration of which factors are most relevant. In conclusion, the Technology Acceptance Model, TAM, is a widely used framework for predicting the adoption and use of new technologies in work contexts. It considers the factors of perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use as key determinants of individuals' intention to adopt technology. TAM has demonstrated high predictiveness and simplicity in its original form, TAM 1, but criticisms have led to extensions such as TAM 2 and TAM 3 that incorporate external social factors. Despite its advantages, TAM has faced criticism regarding its applicability to diverse contexts and the absence of factors such as subjective norms and guidance on improving technology design. Modernism emerged as a response to the prevailing conservatism of the late 19th century and early 20th century. It encompassed a socially progressive trend of thought and gave rise to various cultural movements. The movement gained momentum due to a growing sense that the traditional forms of literature, art, architecture, religion, and social norms were becoming obsolete in the rapidly industrializing world. At its core, modernism aimed to question and challenge established norms. It sought to re-examine every aspect of human existence, from philosophy to commerce, and even religion. Traditional beliefs and practices were scrutinized, including the long-held belief in the existence of an all-powerful creator. Modernism placed emphasis on human agency, asserting that human beings had the power to progress and shape their environment through the application of science, technology, and knowledge. However, modernism also faced its fair share of criticism. One of the criticisms was that its rejection of tradition eventually led to the formation of its own traditions. By challenging established norms, modernism unintentionally created a set of new norms and practices that were considered modernist. This paradoxical nature of modernism led to debates about its true revolutionary potential. Another critique was aimed at specific artistic forms associated with modernism. In music, for example, modernist compositions were often criticized for their disharmony and lack of traditional tonal structures. Movies and books associated with modernism were deemed incomprehensible due to the absence of clear plots and linear narratives. Similarly, modernist poetry often presented challenges in interpretation, as its fragmented and abstract nature defeated traditional notions of meaning and clarity. Over time, modernism began to lose its status as a revolutionary movement as it became increasingly institutionalized. The ideas and principles of modernism permeated various spheres of society, influencing artistic, intellectual, and cultural institutions. This institutionalization eventually paved the way for the emergence of postmodernism, which critiqued and challenged the very foundations of modernist thought. In conclusion, modernism emerged as a progressive response to the conservative climate of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It sought to challenge established norms and re-evaluate traditional forms of expression in various domains. While it faced criticism for its rejection of tradition, the paradoxical nature of modernism, and its institutionalization, modernism played a significant role in reshaping artistic, intellectual, and cultural landscapes. Its influence can still be seen today, as it laid the groundwork for subsequent movements and philosophies, including postmodernism. Postmodernism, as the term suggests, emerged as a philosophical and cultural movement after modernism. It represents a departure from the principles and assumptions of modernism, challenging the established notions of truth, language, power dynamics, and social classifications. Postmodernism openly critiques the rigid and hierarchical categorizations of people based on factors such as gender, race, and imperialism. At the heart of postmodernism is an emphasis on the role of language, power relations, and motivations in shaping our understanding of reality. Postmodernists argue that language is not simply a neutral tool for communication, but a powerful force that constructs and influences our perception of the world. They believe that language is inherently subjective and that multiple interpretations and meanings can coexist. By questioning the assumed objectivity of language, postmodernism destabilizes the notion of a singular, universal truth. Postmodernism also challenges the traditional binary divisions and classifications that have structured society for centuries. It questions the dichotomies of men versus women, white versus black, and the imperial versus colonial. Postmodernists argue that these strict classifications perpetuate power imbalances and limit our understanding of human experiences and identities. By deconstructing these binaries, postmodernism seeks to create space for diverse perspectives and narratives to be acknowledged and valued. One central focus of postmodernism is the exploration of the concept of truth itself. Postmodernists contend that truth is not a fixed, objective reality, but rather a social construct influenced by language, power dynamics, and cultural contexts. They assert that rhetoric plays a crucial role in shaping our perception of truth and that different rhetorical strategies can give rise to various interpretations of reality. This emphasis on the role of rhetoric challenges the notion of a singular, universal truth and highlights the subjectivity and plurality of human experiences. Postmodernism has been evolving and influencing thought for over 4 centuries, advocating for a new way of understanding and rationalizing human life and progress. While typical postmodernists tend to be atheists, it is important to note that some individuals within the postmodernist movement may also draw inspiration from Eastern religious thoughts and customs. Postmodernism encompasses diverse perspectives and approaches, reflecting the pluralistic nature of its philosophy. Within the realm of postmodernism, there are several broad classifications of criticism. Some individuals reject the entire concept of modernism and its ideological foundations, considering postmodernism as a necessary departure from its limitations. On the other hand, there are those who uphold modernism and argue that postmodernism lacks the essential characteristics of the modern project. They believe that postmodernism undermines the progress and advancements achieved through modernist principles. Criticism can also arise within the postmodern community itself, with individuals seeking improvement or change based on their interpretation and understanding of postmodernism. This internal critique aims to refine and develop postmodernist theories and practices to address perceived shortcomings or gaps in the movement. Lastly, there are those who view postmodernism as a passing phase, considering it as a transient trend in social organization rather than a growing and lasting intellectual movement. These critics question the long-term impact and influence of postmodernism on society. In conclusion, postmodernism represents a departure from the principles of modernism and challenges established notions of truth, language, power dynamics, and social classifications. It critiques the rigidity of traditional categories and hierarchies and emphasizes the role of language in constructing reality. Postmodernism explores the concept of truth as a social construct influenced by rhetoric and cultural contexts. It has garnered both support and criticism from various perspectives, reflecting its complex and multifaceted nature as a philosophical and cultural movement.